Okay.
What's up, guys? Another episode of Know Your Worth TV. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, I appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If this is your second time, third time, however many times you've been watching these videos, I appreciate you. Make sure that you also hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Today, I got another phenomenal person on Know Your Worth TV because she knows her worth. I've known this lady here for some years. We used to do some modeling back in the days, and she's continued into the entertainment world, behind camera and in front of the camera. And we got Miss Candi Marie. How you doing today?
Efren Lozado, like honestly, I'm doing great. And I think every time you and I connect and we talk, it's always a vibe. It's always just a good
Vibes.
time. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here with you today.
Listen, since day one, it was always good energy with you, and I'm just like happy to see where where you've come. Can you kind of share that story on what you're doing today and really introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So hey y'all. I'm excited to be a part of Know Your Worth TV with Efren Lozado. I am Miss Candi Marie. I am a TV producer, an actress, and a TV host. I started off in Jacksonville, Florida, made my way to Orlando where I met Efren, took my talents to Atlanta, and I have settled here in Los Angeles, California. It's been an amazing journey. I actually just wrapped a project called Peace of Mind with Taraji, where I was able to help cultivate amazing conversations within the Black community about mental health. As a producer, I've worked on amazing projects in front and behind the camera. And yeah, I think it's a really dope thing to do the things that I've done, considering where I've come from. So.
And that's really what I would love to hear. We all have a story. Obviously, this platform is to share not only just the success. Everyone sees the success, right? That's what we post on IG, and a lot of people get kind of confused on, yeah, we're successful, but there's a story behind it. There was struggles, there was things that we have overcome, and sometimes even to this day still going through them. People don't realize that. So successful, right? You've done movies. I think you did one with Mark Wahlberg recently, a couple years back, right?
I did a film with Mark Wahlberg, which is very interesting because it was definitely like a complete 180 moment. It was a movie called Instant Family that was about foster care. And that's really dope for anybody that knows me and that knows my story. I actually grew up in foster care. So for that to be my first major film as an actress,
Yep.
it was a dream come true, definitely.
I actually know that's part of your story. So, and obviously, you remember I'm adopted. So when I seen that, I'm like, wow, like that's dope. Guy would do his thing, and he sure did when he cast you to be a part of that. But talk about it. What are some of the things? So you're in the entertainment world. I know it's not easy. I know there's things that people don't know. They just kind of see, what they see on TV or they see on social media. But what are some of the things that you had to overcome to get where you're at today?
Well, I definitely want to really impose on the people that it's definitely a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And like I've been in LA now for 5 years, and this is the first time, this fifth year, where I've been in a place where I'm finally comfortable. And I say that in all transparency because the first 4 years were very hard. They were difficult. I remember moving to LA, sleeping on a friend's couch for 6 months. Then when I finally got a place, I was in an apartment with it was like 4 or 5 other people, and we were cutting the rent in half and making it work. And it was a very uncomfortable place for me, especially where I had initially come from, which was Atlanta. And I thought I was that girl, doing my thing. I was working for Steve Harvey, which was also like a dream come true. And then, coming to LA and having to start over was completely humbling. Humbling in every bit of that word, simply because, growing up the way that I did, I always told myself that I wouldn't even touch the surface of where I came from. Meaning man, it was hard. I remember sleeping in vans with my family and not having, food to eat, and then going into foster care, and then, coming to LA, it was just a struggle. Some days you have to man, what am I going to do with this money that I just made? I just worked 50 hours this week and my check is $200, and then trying to be smart about how you handle your money, what you do with it. And then asking yourself, is this really worth it? That's a question that I ask myself over and over and over again. Are you sure that this, you know, it's not easy following your dreams, but when you get that win, like, and when God is like, yo, when he shows you that what you're doing is you're on the right path, that's what makes it worth it.
So let's not skip over. I mean, you're working with one of the biggest comedians, right? One of the biggest hosts for Family Feud, for the Steve Harvey show. What was that like? Well, when you got that moment in your life, obviously there was a lot of work to get there. You were doing host of your own, and then really get to work alongside someone like him. What was that? What was that feeling? Did you feel at that moment like it was an accomplishment? Did you feel like this was just the beginning? Kind of walk us through that story, that part of your life.
Well, I want to say that I think that's what built the foundation for me to really go into entertainment, simply because, you know, I was living in Orlando, Florida, and I just graduated from UCF. And I decided that what I wanted to do was be a TV host when I was in 11th grade. I was in my foster home, and I would literally write down notes and story ideas and TV show ideas in this composition book, because I feel like sometimes we have to dream outside of the walls of the reality that we're living in, right? And for me, writing down ideas and writing down my dreams was how I did it. So I went to UCF because they had a radio and television program, one of the best in the state of Florida at the time. So that's why I chose Orlando. That's why I chose UCF. And, you know, when I graduated, I didn't know how I was going to make that dream happen. So I got a job working at Disney. I had only been at Disney for 6 months, and there was a program called Disney Dreamers Academy with Steve Harvey that was in the process of, I guess it was being planned, and they were looking for volunteers. So I went to the informational for it, and I walked up to the woman that was in charge of that event. And I was just like, hey, I'm a motivational speaker. You know, I have a lot to offer, you know, youth. I grew up in foster care, telling her my story. And she chose
story. There you go.
Tell the story. You know, being bold, you know, going out on a limb. And she asked me to be her assistant for that event. And a few days after she asked me to be her assistant, she wanted to meet with me. And she was just like, you know, what are your dreams? What are your goals? And I told her, I said, well, I got a job at Disney because I want to work for Radio Disney. I want to, you know, be a teen talk show host. I want to do all these things. And she said, okay, well, I have somebody that I want you to meet. The day came for the event to start with Steve Harvey, and she wanted me to meet Steve Harvey and his manager. So I ended up meeting them. And then I told myself that I would not leave that event. It was a 4-day event. I would not leave that event without getting their contact information. So that was top of mind. Bust my ass, put in the work, but also not leave there without their information. And I did just that. On the very last day of the event, it was 4 days, last day of the event, I got Steve Harvey's manager's contact information. When I tell you I emailed this man every single week for like 3 months, he would not even respond to my emails the first 3 months. But I would not give up because it's like, what do I have to lose? Like the most he's going to say is no. He finally responds. I'm in Georgia at the time. And he calls me. His name is Rashawn McDonald. He's like, this is Rashawn McDonald, you know, giving you a call. You know, you've been emailing me for 3 months and I finally called you and you ain't even answering your phone. And I lost it. I was like trying to hurry up and call him back. Then I finally called him back. And he became like a mentor to me. He mentored me for 1.5 years. And throughout that time, this was running around the time that Trayvon Martin was killed. And I was living in Orlando, Florida. I was still working for Disney. And I saw that as an opportunity for me to do work for them. And it was for free, and that was fine. But I was on the ground recording everything that was happening at the courthouse, everything that was happening surrounding Trayvon Martin. They got exclusive content from me, and I did it for free. You know, so they would be on the radio talking about what was going on with Trayvon Martin. And then they were telling people to go check out my content that I shot. Like, and it was just really dope. And because of that, because I didn't look at it as an opportunity to get money, because I saw the bigger picture, I think the bigger picture came to me. And the bigger picture was when an opportunity opened up at the morning show, who you think they called? They called the young girl that was willing to put in the work. Besides, regardless of whether I was broke, I was still putting in that work, you know?
Yeah, you got to.
And an opportunity opened up. I remember I was celebrating my birthday. I ain't gonna tell y'all which one it was, but I was celebrating actually in LA. It was my first time in LA, and I was celebrating my birthday. And I got the phone call, and they was just like, "Hey, there's an opportunity to work for the Steve Harvey Morning Show. You have to move to Atlanta, and you have to be here in a week. Do you want the job?" And when I tell you, I dropped everything. I put in my a few days notice because I didn't have time to put in 2 weeks notice.
What was the time frame from the Disney to all this happening?
I worked at Disney for 2 years. So I met them 6 months into working at Disney. And then I was mentored for a year and a half by them, like working with them, like doing free work for them. And then after being at Disney for 2 years, that's when the opportunity came to move to Atlanta.
Wow. So it's not like something that happened overnight. Like I want people to understand that it wasn't like I had a conversation with him and it happened. Like I harassed him. I did what I had to do. I did what I had to do. And
I want to say this. I want people to understand that when it comes to your life, you cannot play small with your life, because I think sometimes we're like, oh my God, I don't want them to think this about me. I don't want them to think I'm this. No, that's exactly what you want them to think. You want them to know that you take your life seriously. Like
absolutely.
You cannot play small with your life. And that's exactly what I did. And it was one of the best decisions that I ever made.
So you leave everything, just get into LA, right? The goal was to get entertainment, get to LA.
I'm in Atlanta right now. I haven't.
Now you're in Atlanta. Go ahead. Okay, I can go in Atlanta. Go ahead. Start from there. So you get to Atlanta, you do the radio host, and what happens after?
So I get to Atlanta, and basically I'm in a world that I really don't know anything about. Like I don't know much about radio, right? But I threw myself into it, and I had great mentors around me that were willing to teach me and help me to grow. But even though I was working in radio and I was working in promotions, I ended up becoming the promotions director for the entire Steve Harvey Morning Show, just from the work and everything that I did. And it was a lot of work. But my goal was to still be in front of the camera. So every opportunity that I had, I told them, hey, look, I want to be a TV host. This is what I want to do. So I actually ended up being mentored by the female personality of the Steve Harvey Morning Show, Shirley Strawberry. She became my mentor, and we would meet every other Tuesday in her office after the morning show, and we would talk about the progression of my career. And then slowly but surely, there were opportunities to where they would send me out to go and get digital content for the website. And it went from me going and getting digital content randomly for the website to every single time there was a special guest celebrity that came into the morning show, they automatically interviewed with me as soon as they left the morning show. So they would go in, do their interview on air, and then they would step outside the studio, and then they would do digital content with me. That's basically like what it became. And I was the very first correspondent for the Steve Harvey Morning Show. There hasn't been another correspondent since me. I've interviewed everybody from Usher. I've gone to events with President Obama, got White House clearance. I even started my own positive media company where Shirley Strawberry kind of helped mentor and cultivate it. So it really gave me the confidence and the bearing and the understanding of what it meant to create a company and to even be a young girl following her dreams to be like a broadcaster or a correspondent. So it really helped me to build my foundation.
I mean, absolutely. You talk about just a dream, right? Working at Disney to really putting in the work. And it wasn't like it was overnight. It was still a lot of work from that one moment to get to the Steve Harvey Show, to then do your own thing, to now you're doing movies, to now you're working with Taraji, still working in front of the camera and behind the camera. So there's been a journey for you.
Journey.
At any point in that journey, because now it's been some years. I mean, we can go back to the modern days. It's been some years that you've been in the entertainment, But has there been any moment through that journey that you felt maybe this is not it? Maybe I should just do something different. Has there ever been a point in your life that you felt like that?
Absolutely. I think you feel like that all the time because you get more no's than yeses, right? And then I think also as we get older, we start to reevaluate what's more important to us. Is it the success or what about family? Because I'm not getting any younger, and, I've been doing this for a while, and it starts to get lonely, and you start to really think to yourself, like, I just woke up and I was 30, and now I'm, whatever. And I was just 22 yesterday. And then you look around and you see all your friends getting married, and you see all your friends having kids. And then you start to wonder, when is it going to be my turn? And I think that is something that you have to think about. Can you have it all? Can you have the career? Can you have the husband and the kids and can you have it all? And I think you can. You just have to find a partner that is willing to help you get that, and who has the same vision and the same understanding. And a lot of times when I'm sitting in this apartment by myself, I just start to wonder, like, can I really have it all? And I guess until I get it all, I'm going to continue to ask that question. There have also been moments where I've gotten those no's, and I've worked my ass off, and I've studied lines, and like, prime example, I literally just produced a show with Taraji, and then I went and shot a movie. I took a break literally in the middle of production to go shoot a movie. So I had to make sure those lines, were memorized. I had to make sure I was in character, and then I had to come back and pick back up where I left off, and so it's a lot, but it's like, how bad do you want it? Do you know your worth? Do you know that you're capable of achieving all these dreams that you have? And what are you willing to sacrifice to make it happen? So there's a lot of pressure. Some days, I look up and I got like, I'm like, man, where's my money? Or maybe I'm not on a project and I'm not getting no money's coming in. So it's a lot to think about that people don't always understand. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster.
Listen, I know a little bit about it, but a lot of success for you, a lot of success. And I know you said a lot of no's, but you're a very successful person. Someone that would see you and just see what you've been able to accomplish, they're going to say that you're successful at what you do. And it's great. I'm happy that you've been able to continue that you know your worth, that you've been pushing through, that you're achieving those goals and dreams that you've set. But let's kind of go back, because you did mention being a foster child. And I think that's very important, because I myself have been adopted, and I always want others in those same shoes that we've been in to understand, like, that's not the end all be all, right? That's the story that you're in now, but that's not the story that you have to continue with for the rest of your time. So what is some advice that you can kind of give, not even just those in the foster homes or those that have been adopted, but just the youth in general that have a dream, that have a passion? People are telling them no, whether it's their family, whether it's their friends. What advice can you provide to them?
I think the best advice that I would have to say is that you're enough. I think that a lot of us struggle with, are we enough? Can we really do it? Imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome has been real in my life, because there were a lot of times when I would step into rooms and I didn't think that I was worthy of being in those rooms, and then sometimes you have to stop yourself in the middle of that thought, and you got to look around, like really look around at the people that you're comparing yourself to in those rooms. And a lot of times those people are really no different from you. They're second guessing whether they should be in those rooms too. And I think that that's kind of what normalizes things for you. Like I just mentioned that I was just on a set shooting a film with some major A-list TV stars. I can't really say their names yet, but what I will say is that two of the biggest white male TV stars in the business, I'm literally doing a scene with them, and my anxiety's kicking in. I'm so nervous. I'm, of course, second guessing myself, because there aren't a lot of people that look like me in that room, which is another thing I think a lot of people of color have to struggle with. But what kind of normalized the situation for me was looking at one of them and realizing that, he's literally memorizing. He's saying his lines in his head in between breaks. Like he's literally rehearsing and practicing, doing the same things that I do. So I think sometimes we have to just humanize the experience and realize that, like, everybody has a story. Nobody's perfect. Absolutely. And we're all human beings going through a human experience at the end of the day. I think what the world and society will try and do is ostracize us and alienate us and make us feel like we're alone. And that to me is the enemy of the devil, to make you feel like you're the only person in the world that's struggling and going through the things that you're going through. And I think that's how we attach those stigmas to ourselves of being weird or different and awkward. But if you think about it, every single person in history that has developed a name for themselves, they're different. And different is okay. Different is actually a beautiful thing. So I think the more that we recognize that who we are is enough, being Candi Marie and being Candi Marie the way and authentically in the way that she is enough, I think is what will really show you that you have every single thing that you need to make your dreams come true.
I mean, you can't say any better. That's good stuff right there. So I totally agree. I am 100% live by that, and what I want other people to know that are watching this is that even at this point in my time, point in where I'm at in my life, I still struggle through some of the situations, and it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, no one's perfect. We still sometimes have self-doubt. There's still the lack of self-confidence at times.
Yeah.
But like you said, understand that you are enough. It's okay to feel feel like that at times. I think it really stems. You mentioned it earlier, and I want to kind of touch upon it a little bit because I've actually now been seeking a therapist because of mental health, because of those things, because of those things that we've dealt with when we were young, and we don't really speak to anybody about. Friends don't even know, right? We have these best friends, but our best friends don't really know that we're dealing with something. So I think it's huge. Can you kind of talk about how important mental health has been for you, especially in this entertainment world?
I'm so glad you asked me this question because mental health is huge. And I think that it's been something that we've had to sweep under the rug for so long because I think that we are taught that we have to be strong, right? You can't show emotion. Childhood trauma has been something that has rocked my world for a very long time. And I didn't even realize how much it affected me, honestly, until I went to college. Because I just remember being in foster care and being ashamed of who I was and where I came from. Trying to be this perfect person and living two different lives when I went to school. Like when I went to middle school and high school, nobody knew that I was in foster care, right? So I masking became normal for me. It became a habit. And then when I went off to college, I was interviewing for my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And they asked me a question, had to plug that, and asked me a question. They said, what was one of the hardest things that you've ever been through in your life? And for the first time in my life, I thought about it. And it broke me. And I cried so much that I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. But when I finally did, I told my story for the first time of being someone who grew up in foster care. And that was also the first time that I realized that I had grown accustomed to working through my trauma. Because that's the thing, to where you try to stay busy to keep your mind off what's really going on in your life. So that had also been, right? And the older that I got, the more I started to realize if I don't deal with the things that I've been through, then it is going to consume who I really am. It was affecting my relationships. I was seeing that childhood trauma come out in relationships. I was seeing the spirit of abandonment, around me. Something that I'm still struggling with is that spirit of abandonment. And I think, as you start to experience life and these trials and these tribulations, the way that you react to these situations is a result of that childhood trauma. My mother has schizophrenia. I grew up with a parent, with schizophrenia until I entered into the foster care system. And I didn't even realize how much that affected me because, again, we don't talk about these things. Mm-hmm. And now as an adult, having the opportunity to work on a show called Peace of Mind with Taraji that is focused around cultivating safe conversations about mental health within the Black community. I've listening to other people's stories of trauma and just hearing that a lot of us just we're not that different. Like the degrees of the degrees of separation between a lot of us have been sexually abused as a child. A lot of us have been, in situations that we don't talk about. And
really quick, I kind of want to stop about the sexual abuse because also been sexually abused, right? And
Yeah.
for years, we feel like it was our fault. And
Mhm.
I feel that's why we don't mention it. And it wasn't until I met my wife where I've ever even told anybody. I'm 20 something years old at that time.
Yeah.
But I thought it was I mean, things started happening in a relationship. And I realized at that moment, wow, it was because of me being sexually abused that things were happening. And I didn't know there was a problem. I was literally, I left home and I was just kind of enjoying life, and all that I just kind of put behind me. And it was almost like hitting a brick wall. So for sure, even for those that are listening and are experiencing that now, speak to someone. Understand that you're not at fault, right?
Yeah.
Don't carry that for the rest of your life. And if you're someone that is older now and are still dealing with that, and there's something that is bothering you mentally, one, I would say definitely seek a therapist.
Yeah.
Two is understand that you are not alone, that there's people out here that are willing to have that conversation with you, that are very understanding of where you at mentally. So I just kind of wanted to, cut you on that because I think it's very important, because I am one that has been sexually abused, and I did not speak about that till I was 22, 23 years old. And I speak about it all the time now because I want people to understand that we're not, they're not alone, that we're all alike in some way or form, that we all have a story. But sorry to cut you. Go ahead.
No, no, I'm so glad that you said that. And I think it's also beautiful for you to share that you've been sexually abused as a young man, simply because we don't get to hear your story. We don't get to hear
Hmm.
young men being sexually abused. So I want to say kudos to you, and I hope more young men are able to speak up and speak out about that experience. Um, so yeah, like I think therapy is important. You know, I have a therapist right now, and she's everything. She's actually the opposite of what I thought that I wanted. You know, I thought that as a
Hmm.
Black woman, I was like, I want a Black woman. But she actually hair. She's a badass. We cuss in our therapy sessions. Like, she's just like me,
Yeah.
and I love it. So I would say, find somebody who was reflective of someone that you feel you would be comfortable speaking to. And sometimes it might be somebody that you least expect, but I'm
And
a
don't
huge
give up after the first time.
advocate. Hello, what you say?
I said, and don't give up after the first time
No, it's gonna
of
be a
seeking
little
therapy.
weird.
I did
Yeah,
virtual therapy, and I did not want to do it again. And for years, I didn't do it. I literally just started a couple months ago. My wife was going, obviously, after the birth, she started going, seeing a therapist,
yeah,
and she went into like 4 sessions. And I always wanted one, but when you want to do something, but it's a little nerve-wracking, and then you're like, you know what, I'm gonna do it at some point in my life. And then, like you said, finding that right person, being open to someone. And for me, still thinking like, oh, I don't have any issues. I can deal with it on my own. I broke down one day and she looked at me like, I'm going to sign you up for my session that I had today. And I'm like, I'll think about it. I'll let you know. And she signed me up anyway. And I went to go see the therapist. And I would say, man, like, she's so good at what she does. She is so good at what she does. And like you said, just she's an individual just like you. She understands life just like you. I'm pretty sure that she's gone through situations just like you. So it's just really cool, like you said, to just have someone that you can have a conversation with that's not judging you, that is not sitting here, telling you what you should do, but if anything, is getting you to answer your own questions. And I think that's what's so cool about it, is a lot of times she's not telling me like, hey, this is what you got to do. Instead, she's saying, well, she's asking this question that you start to think like, oh, I get it. I never thought that way. So for sure, mental health, one, kills. I just had a friend that died, from mental health. And I think that people, especially in our culture, Hispanic, Black, just of any color, where we're always told that it wasn't a good thing, that it wasn't for us. And obviously, when we were growing up, we didn't speak about our problems, right? It just, that just wasn't a thing. And I think now the new generation needs to kind of know that it's a different time. We need to get our minds clear. To me, why I seek mental health was I knew that I was stopping myself from getting to the next level. believe it or not.
Yeah.
That's why I felt that I need to definitely to seek some therapy. So it could be someone watching, and if it's you watching, definitely go ahead and find somebody, and don't give up to that after that first or second or third person. There's somebody out there that is going that you can match with, that was going to be like a friend to you, that you'll be like, where have you been my whole life? So
Yeah, because your story matters. Everyone has a story and it matters.
absolutely. So I don't want to get too deep into the mental health. I actually know that matter of fact, since we're on there, don't you have an event coming up? And I don't know if this will play before. Maybe I can work something, but don't you got an mental health event coming up? I think you're frozen.
I need to call.
Yeah.
I'm calling Spectrum. I am calling Spectrum. You hear me? I do not pay $50 a month. It's the way it is. Okay, I missed your question. So there's
I said, don't you have an event, a mental
is there
health event coming up? Yeah.
Yes. I was just
health?
asked to be a speaker. I'm sorry?
Nope, go ahead. I was saying, once you go on an event about mental health.
Yes, I'm supposed to be a speaker for an event called Mind Your Mental. I was just asked to be a part of it a few weeks ago. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be this Friday. It actually starts on Thursday. It's going to be Thursday through Saturday. And you can check out the Instagram page, which is at Mind Your Mental, MINDUR mental. It's a really dope event. They have some really great speakers, so you guys should definitely check it out.
And you being a speaker, man, look how far you've come. Now you're sitting here being a speaker about mental health. Isn't that dope? Isn't that cool how life just comes around like that? Like,
it is. God has a sense of humor. He really does.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to kind of wrap this up here. I don't want the internet connection to just cut us off completely. So we'll finish with, what is your know your worth moment that you realize, like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I don't care who or what's in front of me. I'm going to overcome that obstacle.
Oh my goodness. I actually just had a know your worth moment. I think just knowing that, like, a little girl that grew up in foster care from Jacksonville, Florida, has the ability to develop and sell TV shows to some of the biggest names in entertainment. I sold a show to Oprah, and I partnered with Mark Wahlberg. And that was life-changing for me, simply because it really showed me that a little girl that grew up in foster care all her life from Jacksonville, Florida, really does have what it takes. And when I was sitting there in that moment, surrounded by giants, I realized that I am a giant too. So I want every little girl and every little boy out there that came from nothing to know that you're a giant, you're a superhero, simply because of who you are, where you came from, and the fact that you went through all that as a child, right?
Yep.
When you got through it, like, you're resilient. Like, there isn't anything that you can't accomplish. So you have the ability to walk amongst giants.
Candi, that's an amazing know your worth moment. I appreciate you giving me the time today to really get to dig a little deeper into just the things that you've had to deal to get into the industry, or just the things that you've had to deal mentally, the things that you've had to deal as a young child. And those that are watching are going to be just empowered by this story because of what you shared with us today. So I thank you for your time. I appreciate you so much. I know this won't be the last time that we speak. It's like we speak with each other every so many years from, time to time, but it's always good to catch up with you and get to really know where you're at today. Is there anything else that you want to leave the people with?
I just want to say thank you for creating this great platform, and, continue to support Ephraim and support your friends. Support your friends more than you support these celebrities, because they're the ones that become the celebrities, right? And the CEOs and the whatever. So support your people.
Well, I appreciate it, Candi. It's been a pleasure. Guys, if you're still watching, thank you so much. Make sure that you guys are hitting that like button, subscribe button, because that's the only way that we get to continue to keep this content going. Thank you so much, guys. And make sure that you guys are also watching other videos. Until next time, my name is Ephraim. I'll see you soon.